Cannabis for pain. It goes so far back in human history. It's in the first Chinese medical writings. It's in the Egyptian papyri. And then after the U.S. Civil War, there was a golden age of medical cannabis where it was available at every corner drugstore. And the use for pain was one of the great uses that everybody was buying it for because it is not as addictive as morphine and it can still get the job done. So if you want to explore cannabis for pain, there's 3 major things to try: CBD, topicals, and then THC. And so we'll go through those in order. With the CBD, as always, start low and go slow, 5 or 10 milligrams a day just to make sure it agrees with your system. But CBD is pretty darn benign. And so you can quickly, by the end of the first week, be ramping it up to 20 to 50 milligrams a day and see if that makes a difference. And I wouldn't just do it once. Whatever amount you're taking, take it for 3 days to make sure you are topping up the levels of your own endocannabinoids. And sometimes it takes a few days of doing that to see how much of an effect that you're getting. I know that this stuff isn't cheap. And so you are looking for that sweet spot where you're getting the pain relief that you need, but you're not spending too much on it. For a lot of people, that's 50 milligrams a day. Go up to 100 milligrams for 3 days. See if it makes a big difference. If it does, you might want to stay there. But if it doesn't make that much of a difference for you, feel free to drop back down to 50 milligrams. And so once you've dialed in how much CBD to be taking and what times a day to take it to help with your pain, you can start experimenting with topicals as well. You could do this as you're starting with the CBD. Topicals are really easy. And the cannabinoids absorb into your skin, which is really nice. But they also don't last that long. And so if topicals work for you, you might need to be applying them a number of times per day. But for things like arthritis, you won't care. If this is the only thing that's working, you'll do it. So that's just one thing to know is topicals tend to last for something like an hour or 2. And so once you know how much benefit you can get from these non-psychotropic, non-psychoactive CBD extracts and topicals, then it's time to start using THC. And I know THC can be scary to some older people, but one of the reasons it works is because of its mental effects. I remember talking to a rabbi in Jerusalem who had terrible back pain, and he said that the opioids would work for him, but it also just knocked him out. He couldn't get anything done. He couldn't work. He couldn't be a papa. Like, it was just ruining his quality of life. Then he tried small amounts of THC, and he said it didn't make the pain go away. It's more like it put it at a distance and he could just go about his day and not be as focused on it, which is a really wise way of saying something I've heard from different people over the years. The cannabinoids do work on your endorphin system, on your body's own pain-killing system that the opioids work on as well. But the cannabinoids also work on your endocannabinoid system that works with balance. They work on your serotonin system. It's going to help with anxiety and mental well-being. So they're working in a lot of different ways. And so for THC, especially if you're starting with an older person, you really do want to start low. I would actually recommend gummies because the nice part about eating THC is that it lasts for a lot longer. You get longer periods of relief. The gummies from Plus CBD by CV Sciences are excellent. You can get 2.5 milligrams of THC. That's a pretty ideal starting dose for an older person. You could even cut it in half and give them just a little over 1 milligram. Because if you're dealing with older people, you really do not want to get them too high, especially if they're scared of that, because then they'll never try it again and they'll miss out on something that could really give them a lot more quality of life. And so what you're doing with the THC is just taking a little bit more each day and seeing how well it works. The nice part about it being oral is that it lasts for a couple of hours. The downside of oral ingestion is that the technical name for the THC we all talk about is delta-9 THC. When you eat THC, the liver converts it into a type called delta-11, which is somewhere from 5 to 7 times more strong. And so there's a greater risk of psychoactivity there. And also it can take 2 hours to have the effects. And so once you take that first amount, do not let somebody take more for 2 hours. The worst thing is at the hour and a half mark saying this isn't working and taking more, and just then it hits and you realize that you're going to get much more psychoactive effect than you wanted. And so the oral way of taking THC, again, you're looking for the sweet spot. And I often hear from people who are taking 2 to 5 to 10 milligrams of THC at breakfast, at lunch, and then in the evening as well. The only thing to watch out for with THC is, for some people, it puts them to sleep. For others, it keeps them awake. And so whether you're going to be having it in the evening or not can depend on your own personal reaction to it. The other way to use THC is vaping or smoking it. That is the acute way. When you have flare-ups that come out of nowhere of pain, vaped THC can be miraculous because it's in your system in 2 minutes. And also, not only is it relieving all the pain in that amount, you know how much pain relief you're getting. You also know how much psychoactivity you're getting. So it makes it much easier to ride that line between keeping the pain down but not getting too altered by the THC effect. And so it can be tricky to find your sweet spots with these different methods, for sure. But the cool part about cannabinoids, especially with pain, is that tolerance tends not to develop to its effects. Once you find out that it is, say, 50 milligrams of CBD in the morning, 25 at lunch, along with a 5 milligram gummy in the morning and another 5 milligram at lunch, if that's your sweet spot, it's going to keep working. So find that sweet spot that works for you or for your loved one who's dealing with pain, and you can keep reaping the benefits of cannabis for pain and having a higher quality of life.